Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Rule Persia, the podcast where we rated and reviewed all the kings of Persia from Diocles to Yazdegerd III. Today, an epilogue episode. I'm Sariel, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Umberto, my pronouns are he, him. So, hello everybody, and welcome to the end times. We have rated and reviewed all the kings. Yes, exactly. We've rated and reviewed all the kings, and now this is a special episode called Round Draws and Does Sariel Think They Can Rule Persia?
I don't.
So we'll be doing the draws for all the rounds that we'll be going for to figure out who the best Shahanshah of all is. And then at the end of that, at the end of the draws, once we know what our rounds are and how to set everything up, Sariel will be going through a choose your own adventure style thing, and we can see how they would do while ruling Iran in the ancient times. But let's find out. Also, if they die too quickly, we'll rewind time and just give them a second chance.
Yeah.
We'll see how long it goes. But yeah. So, Sariel, well, we're starting here. Do you have any favorites in mind for who's going to make it to the end? Like, out of all the kings we've rated, are there some that sort of stand out to you? Are there some that you say, I think this one's going to go far? This is just without any reviewing, just from your own memory of these past 3-4 years.
Well, are we doing all the kings or just the ones we gave Shahanshah to?
We're doing just the Shahanshahs. We've decided that they're the best ones, or at least the most interesting ones. And,
right.
Yeah.
Because that's different. Yeah, I think...
Yeah, definitely.
Darius the first? The second?
Yes, the Great. Yes, the first one is the Great.
I have...
Yeah, he's our top
a
scorer.
good feeling about him. I would say Alexander in terms of a good story, but I am not sure how he will fare as a king. Well, I mean, we have a few. Like, we have Mithridates the Great.
Yep, that's true.
We have some of the Antiochus. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I am reluctant to say Cyrus the Great because he also has a very good story, but we didn't have that much information about him. We mostly, he's a fairly mythical figure. So, put against some of the more well-researched kings, I don't know how he will fare.
Yeah, that's right. He's very, very lost in the mists of time type person.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, then I'll just go through the list of the kings that we have and their points, and then we can get through with the drawing and see how that goes. See if there's going to be any especially difficult groups to get out of or any especially easy groups to get out of. So, all right, our first scorer is Darius the Great with 80.1. Darius the First, of course, the one that you mentioned. Then we have Shapur the Second with 78. Khosrow the First, Khosrow Anushirvan with 74.8. Then we have Antiochus the Third, also Antiochus the Great, with 74.6. Then Khosrow the Second, Khosrow Parviz, Khosrow the Victorious, with 71.7. Just one of our last Shahanshah. Others have not succeeded to this role. Then afterwards, we have Alexander the Great with 71.7, Kavad the First with 70.1, Shapur the First with 67.8, Seleucus the First, Seleucus Nicator with 65.8, Ardashir the First, Ardashir the Great with 65, Mithridates the Second, Mithridates the Great with 61.6, Artaxerxes the Third with 59, Cyaxares, our episode 3 with 57.8. we'll see if we remember anything from those early days. Then Orodes II with 57.1, Bahram VI, Bahram Chobin with 54.6. Then Cyrus the Great with 52.8. Musa, our only woman to make it as a Shahanshah, with a 49.8. Vologases IV, 48.8. Antiochus IV with 47.2. Xerxes I with 47.1. One that many people have heard of, but, he's made it up this far. Then Mithridates I with 44.6. Yazdegerd I with 44.4. Then we have Peroz I with 38.5. Then Narse with 29. And Sinatrukes I with 23.9. Sariel, are there any of these that stood out to you as being unexpected in their positioning, or were they all broadly what you were expecting?
I think they were what I was expecting mostly. Again, I think our ranking style is fairly all over the place and not very consistent. So, I feel like the only thing that we were a bit more consistent about was giving Shahanshah to those we considered deserved it. So, like, I think it makes sense in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And now the point of the rounds is to figure out, who is the best one, who did the best job. Not even who is the best one, who is the one that we're most likely to tell someone about, who is the one that we think is the most impressive overall,
Most
just
memorable.
as a story, as a person, as achievements, all that, all squished together into one notable piece of personality. So as I mentioned beforehand, we have, as I mentioned last episode, we have 5 main groups we're going to be in. We'll call them the Darius the Great group, the Shapur II group, the Khosrow I group, the Antiochus the Great group, and the Khosrow II group.
Right.
So what we need to do is now split up the remaining 20 kings into one of these 5 groups. And just to tell you how things are going to work out.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to tell you how things are going to work out, we're going to be choosing in the next rounds. We will have our 2 favorites of each group is going to go forward to the next set of rounds. And then, we'll find out what happens there when we get to it. But essentially, we're going to have 2 sets of rounds, then semifinals, and then the grand final at last with the 2 contenders who have gone on top.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, how are we going to divide them? Is this by dynasty, by like time proximity, or?
Well, I thought that the division, it would be kind of unfair to divide them based on time proximity, because then, you have everybody all in the same place. What if one dynasty was much cooler than all the others? Then we don't get to, that doesn't pop up eventually. We need to find out. I'll have some statistics in the next, in the actual rounds. I have statistics about the different dynasties, so I'll find out who perform better in certain aspects. But for now, what we're going to do is, I've put the top 5 scorers in their own separate groups, just so we don't get the most intense fights at the start. So, we can sort of leave some drama for later on. But now what's going to happen is, it would be kind of boring if I just picked names out of a hat and I just told you and that's the end.
Yeah.
But what I would like you to do is to roll me a d20.
Oh, I see.
And we'll be adding 1 king each time based on your roll, and we'll just do it group by group. So we'll start with the Darius the Great group.
For those who...
please, whenever you're ready, roll me your d20. Yes.
For those who are not familiar with role-playing games lingo, a d20 is a die that has 20 sides. So a 20-sided die that I will roll on the table.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, first number.
So Sariel, go for the first one. Let's see who's in the Darius the Great group.
4.
A 4. So Seleucus Nicator is going to be competing with Darius the Great.
Oof,
that's
tough.
exciting. This is already shaping up to be complicated.
I love that you were like,
okay,
I want
go for
everything
the-
to be fair and entertaining, but also let's do it randomly.
Yeah, exactly. You want a little bit of drama in your selection. Okay, king number 3.
14.
14. Antiochus the Fourth is also in this category. Antiochus, the bad guy in the Hanukkah story.
Yeah, true.
So
I hope you'll be
exciting.
able to keep the sound
And
of the dice rolling on the table.
we'll see how much it echoes. But yes. Then yeah, king number 4 of this group.
Natural 1. Just a 1.
Natural 1. Ooh, oh, this is terrifying. Alexander the Great is also in this
Yeah.
group.
See, you
Jesus.
were like, let's not
It's
split
Darius
them
the Great,
by.
Alexander the Great, Seleucus, Antiochus. I feel like Antiochus the Fourth is going to struggle here, but yeah.
I love that you were like, let's not split them by dynasty because like that would be unfair. But let's just roll a die.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Perfect.
do we need one more?
And one more king. Yes, then we've closed up this first group.
20.
20. Sinatrukes the First. Thanks for playing. I don't think you're going to go far, but
We can at least talk about him again.
It's
I
good
don't
that you
remember.
could join,
I don't
Yeah,
remember
exactly.
much actually.
I think that's kind of the problem. He's with Darius the Great, Seleucus the First, Alexander the Great. I feel like those are the 3 that are going to fight each other. Antiochus and Sinatrukes, I think, are slightly gonna struggle to stand out in this, but we'll find out in the next episode because that's gonna be our first one. So, Group 1, I'll repeat: Darius the Great, Seleucus the First, Nicator, Antiochus the Fourth, Alexander the Great, and Sinatrukes the First. Now let's go for Group 2, the Shapur the Second group.
Should we roll it directly or should we roll it in the next episode?
No, let's do them all together at the same time so we know what the groups are, and then we can we'll move on later to the
next. 9.
A 9 is Shapur is going to be with Orodes the Second. Impressive one. The hero of Kare.
A 2.
2 is going to be Kavad the First. He of the why not start a communist revolution? That sounds fun. Then number 4.
13.
13.
Yep.
Yes. So 13 is Vologases the Fourth, who basically started a whole coup and made part of the new dynasty for the Parthians. And last but not least, who do we have?
Oh, that's another 20. Let me reroll. That's another 13. A 6.
6. Mithridates the Great. Ooh, okay.
I'm happy it's taken a while until we've started repeating numbers. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It's next time you repeat numbers, I'll just pick the closest one, just so we don't have to roll a million times. But yeah, so this is a pretty. I think it's more competitive than the previous group, but it's also pretty intense. So we have Shapur the Second, Orodes the Second, Kavad the First, Vologases the Fourth, and then Mithridates the Second, Mithridates the Great. So that's Group 2 solved. Now we move on to the next group with Khosrow the First, Khosrow Anushiravan. Who is he going to be fighting against? Let's go with the first ruler.
A 9.
A 9. I'll get the closest one to him. That is Bahram the Sixth, Bahram Chobin, who basically overthrew Khosrow's grandson. So, fun competition. Let's see how that goes. King number 3.
4.
4. That is going to be Ardashir the Great, the founder of the Sassanid dynasty, is in here. And then number 4.
14.
14, that is Xerxes the First, the architect of Persepolis and the failed invasion of Greece. And last but not least, who do we have next?
14.
14, that is going to be Mithridates the First, the founder of the Parthian Empire. So we have two founders in here, which is pretty good. We have Ardashir and Mithridates founding their respective Iranian empires. Let's see if any of them will come on top or who's going to get through. So to recap this group, we have Khosrow the First, Bahram the Sixth, Bahram Chobin, Ardashir the Great, Xerxes the First, and Mithridates the First. Okay, now we move on to fourth group, Group Antiochus the Great. Let's see who can contend with him.
2.
2, that is Shapur the First. He of the 3 Roman emperors kneeling before him. That's a tough act to follow.
A 1.
A 1, that is Artaxerxes III, the restorer of Egypt, the savior of the Achaemenid Empire before its untimely fall. Next.
15.
How much, sorry?
15.
15. That is Yazdegerd the First of the Why Can't We All Just Get Along? Come on, please. And last but not least.
9.
That is Cyaxares, our first King of Kings, the one who basically created the Median Empire and gave origin to most of what we saw in all this podcast. So, that is, I think this is a more relaxed group than others, I would say. Might be. So we have Antiochus the Great, Shapur the First, Artaxerxes III, Yazdegerd the First, and then Cyaxares. So we'll have to see how they all contend with each other. And finally, we have the Khosrow the Second group, Khosrow the Victorious group. We know who the people are, but let's just roll it for dramatic effect and see who we get first.
8.
8 is Cyrus the Great against Khosrow the Second. That's going to be tough. Okay, exciting. Next up.
16.
16 is Peros the First, who thought it was a great idea to invite the Hephthalites. He was a fun one.
9.
9 is Musa, our Queen of Queens. And finally,
12.
that is Narse, of the whole revenge plot with the Bahrams. That was a good one. So, okay, I think I have some more clear expectations on this last group, but we'll have to find out. We have Khosrow the Second, Cyrus the Great, Peros the First, Musa, and Narse.
Interesting.
So these are all the 5 categories that we have. I'll try and put them up on the website so you can all see them and see who is going to be competing with each other. There'll be a nice table and everything. But yeah, next time we're going to have our first rounds where we have to choose 2 kings between Darius the Great, Seleucus the First, Antiochus the Fourth, Alexander the Great, and Sinutrukes the First. So that'll be fun. We hope you all join us for that.
Exciting.
But now that we've done all our duty, it's time, Sariel, for you to test your might and see, are you going to do a good job? Is it going to be a terrible job? Who knows?
Let's find out.
So we're going to be playing a game that I've called Can Sariel Rule Persia? Can they do it? Will they be fine? Who knows?
I doubt it.
And again, yeah. So just to give you a brief understanding of what this is going to be like, you have 3 stats, Sariel. They're going to be battle hardness, scheminess, and air and shine.
Seems fair.
The more you succeed in each of them, the more you get of them. That's fair. That's a good starting point. Since you are born as a child, you'll have 1 point of each to start with. So what you do is you roll a d20, as before, and add your stat each time to get your result.
Okay.
And as mentioned, you will survive. If you die too early, time will rewind and you'll be fine, actually, and we get to see what Sariel the Second does that Sariel the First failed.
I see. Good.
Very good. So, all right, let's get all your stats. And yeah, just so you know, your general vibes, I'm sure you know, but just to emphasize that, battle hardness is to see how good you are at fighting militarily or personally. Scheminess is going to help you understand, are the nobles mad at you, or is that just what their face looks like? Air and shine is going to be, how difficult is it to manage the empire? Are you going to be able to do it properly, or will you just fail miserably?
Yep.
We'll find out. And at the end, you'll get a score, and we'll see where you stack up against all the other kings.
Hooray.
So, all right, let's get started with this. So, congratulations, Sariel. You are sometimes in the Middle Sassanid Empire. I thought this was a rough period. It's the most recent one we've covered, so it's the one we're most familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck would have it, you're born as the healthy heir to the throne of the ruling king of kings of the Sassanid Empire.
Okay.
And it's not a terrible crisis period. You actually have enough time to grow up properly. You're not a child ruler.
This
That's
already
fine.
gives me
That's good.
such
Get that out
better
of the way.
chances.
Yeah, exactly. You're not at the end of the empire trying to fix things. It's just like, this is a regular time. Everything is going reasonably well.
With a bit of luck, everyone will forget
yeah,
about
well,
me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you hope for as a king. Just nothing fancy. I just want to, have a fun time, chill out, and everybody will just remember somebody else. But yeah, as your father's firstborn, you're going to be the one to succeed him when he eventually goes to the big royal palace in the sky. So as I mentioned, as a newborn baby, you have very basic stats, and you have 1 battle hardness, 1 scheminess, and 1 errand shine. As you grow older and more experienced, you'll have the opportunity to further develop your skills and become a better ruler. All for the good of the empire, of course. So okay, so Sariel, you grow from a baby into a young person.
Yay.
Child, adolescent. There we go. And as a young member of the royal household, you grow up in the harem, surrounded by other children of the court, the women of the palace, and a whole lot of servants. So, pampered life, you're not struggling that much. It's going well. And well, the fact is that you have to face the first question of your young life, Sarah. Who to spend your time with? Because there are several people you could decide to spend your time with. You could spend time with your brothers who share your blood and also a claim to the throne. You could perhaps befriend the next generation of nobles who are being raised with you. But also, you could just get to know people outside of established circles, but that could cause some scandal, but also give you some valuable information that not everybody would be privy to.
Why couldn't I do all 3? That's so mean. Time is so limited.
You need to.
Yes.
Time management skills is what you learn in the palace.
My scheminess and survival skills tell me I should probably hang around with the nobles, but my curiosity wants me to try and hang out with people outside of both family and noble circles and see what is
You're
up about
entirely
everything.
rejecting your brothers.
Well, I do. Like, of course, as family, I'd like to spend time with my brothers, but if this is about ruling Persia, then I can't necessarily rely on them not wanting to get the throne. I don't know what sort of
Fair
people they
enough.
are.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I love that immediately I'm like, I'm not gonna make the logical decision, I'm gonna make the reckless decision because I am curious.
Yeah,
and I want
exactly.
to know what you refer to when you mean neither just open a possibility for a scandal. I can try again, right,
Okay.
at some point, so let's do this first.
Yeah, exactly. If you die horribly, you can just retry.
Exactly.
Okay. So, Sariel, you gain 1 point of scheminess because you get to know people outside the court and you know that they whisper interesting things. You get to hear a lot of gossip that perhaps the nobles wouldn't have been privy to, and you get to see a side that isn't shown in the more glossy public view of the empire. So you have a bit more of discerning skills of people reading. So that's pretty good. But now you grow up more, and you still have your education. And as a child in the royal court, and the heir especially, I mean, people want to make sure you grow up to be a good ruler. You need to be educated in all the skills necessary to be a good monarch of monarchs.
Mm-hmm.
So your first lessons start up at the age of 7, when you're taught how to ride, hunt, archery, running, and spear throwing.
Mm-hmm.
Your typical day is you waking up before dawn and running 5 to 7 kilometers while you command a contingent of other noble children of the court about your age. You're then educated in public speaking, how to conduct a military campaign, and the fundamental duties of a ruler. Your afternoon is generally made up of hunts where you ride on horseback and pursue your quarry with bow and spear. These will be small animals, onagers, and lions when you're eventually old and strong enough. But what do you focus on, Sariel? What is your favorite skill that you decide to concentrate on while learning? Do you want to concentrate on warfare and physical strength, rulership and public speaking? Or do you try and desert some of your stuffier classes to learn from the many spies your father employs to keep an eye on the court?
I've never been good at choose your own adventure games. I just want to do everything. Story of my life. Let's just try things. I am fairly naive, so I think I would like to concentrate on ruling and public speaking.
Okay, very good. Yeah, you learn many of the necessary skills of how to govern an empire, and you gain 1 more point of Aaron Shine to your roster. So you'll be able to have more practice when it actually comes time for you to make proper decisions. And, well, that time comes soon enough, Sariel, because at the ripe old age of 20, you've finally completed your education, and you're considered capable enough to begin your work of ruling. We're all very fortunate that your father is having a long and prosperous reign, so you don't have to step up to the top job quite yet. You get to have some practice before that. And luckily, you can have a great internship as ruler of Armenia, because they're in the empire, and on your 20th birthday, you're made ruler of Armenia. Congratulations.
Sounds great.
And yeah, you finally have some power of your own, and you need to decide what to do with it. You have a few options. You can first of all start a military campaign in the Caucasus. Get some glory, start to, lead armies, get some practice there, and, make a name for yourself. Or you could also organize the administration of Armenia. So make sure that it improves, try to make some changes to how things are run, see how well you can handle yourself. Or the last option is, well, you don't really care about Armenia that much. You could sort of neglect your duties, and sure, Armenia will do a bit worse, but you can keep a close eye on the whispers of Ctesiphon, and hey, maybe some nobles are saying something interesting. Maybe something's going to happen to your father. Who knows?
Well, I think it is time that I finally work on my military skills, see if I'm actually good at it, or at least find generals who are, and who hopefully will like me. I hear that military prowess is respected in these lands, so yeah. I'd much more inclined to just administer Armenia and do a good job at the job that has been given to me. That's probably what I would choose, like myself. I don't know. Since we're doing a run where it's just like my gut feeling, if I didn't know anything about Persia instead of what I think smartly I should do, then maybe I should just focus on ruling Armenia properly. This is what naive Sariel would do. I get given a job and I'm like, I will try my best at this job and nothing bad is gonna happen.
Go for it. Okay.
We'll do
so
this
you're going to plan on
time.
administering Armenia.
Yes. Let's go all into this nonsense.
So this is your first real challenge, so please roll me a d20 in Aaron Shine and add your Aaron Shine score. And let's see how well you do in administering it.
Okay, that's a total of 15. It's 13 plus 2.
15. That's quite good. Well, Sariel, your lessons have gone well. Your tutors have taught you well on how to administer an empire, and you make several small improvements to Armenia. It's nothing massive, nothing life-changing, but you can see that it's working better, the people are happier, taxes are flowing in more readily, and you're quite happy with how that's turned out. You gain 1 extra point of Aaron Shine, and overall, the empire increases in prosperity, making it so that all the nobles are actually looking towards you with somewhat favor. They have, they're curious to see where you're going with this. Administering an empire properly, interesting. That's an interesting approach.
Oh no.
But all right, Sarah, while you're in your palace in Armenia, organizing some extra tax ledgers, seeing how that's working, you receive a messenger from Ctesiphon, who brings news that your father is dying and your presence is requested at court.
Oh boy.
So you rush there as fast as your horse can carry you, and you make it to the royal palace just in time. It seems like your father is dying one of those rare natural deaths, and
Lucky.
he publicly proclaims you to be his heir and legitimate successor with a trembling voice. A few days later, you hear news of his passing, and the first thing you realize of this is when a horde of nobles and various dignitaries rushes to be the first to offer you their allegiance.
Good. As they
The
should.
next days are a yeah, exactly, that's their job. The next days are a flurry of activity as you prepare for your coronation. There must be no challenge to your legitimacy. We need to make sure that everybody accepts you as ruler. So you soon find yourself before the Mobadan Mobad, the head of the Zoroastrian religion, who officiates the coronation ceremony in a fire temple, or at least before a royal fire, in front of the assembled nobles, vassal kings, and foreign dignitaries. Well, first of all, Sarah, would you like to choose a regnal name, as in pick a name of a past king that you would like to imitate, or would you like to be known as Sariel the First?
Well, it's a bold move, but I feel like we're not in a period of massive unrest, right?
No.
So I think we can have a Serial the First. It's not like how does the allegiance look both from people more directly in contact with myself, so the nobles, the rest of the family, the military, and from the empire in general.
I mean, people seem to be relatively positively disposed towards you after the good job you did in Armenia, so
Yeah, like I feel like there's not much
seem quite
debate,
happy.
and I don't need to necessarily convince people to trust me. I have been brought up to do this job, and I have done it well so far. So I feel like Sariel is
I
just
mean,
fine.
you've been the heir for the past 25 years,
Exactly.
so, you know, they know you, they
I
know
think
what
we're
you
good.
like. Okay, cool. So, all the lords of the empire bow before you as you are proclaimed the Mazda-worshipping Lord Sariel, monarch of monarchs of Iran and non-Iran, whose lineage is from the gods. While the Mobadan Mobad ties a simple white diadem around your head. Gold coins with your father's face on them are poured over your head before a new crown of your own design is placed on your head, while the attending notables bow respectfully before you.
Okay.
So,
Going
congratulations.
well so far. Let's see.
Yeah, great, Sarah. You've made it to the highest seat in the land, but there were two notable absences at your coronation, and there are whispers around the court.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Because a stereotypical creepy advisor comes to you and says, Your Majesty, the absence of your brothers at the coronation has not gone unnoticed. Now, it's true that your brother Ardashir is ruling in Sakistan and Shapur is ruling in Jalan, but if all the nobles could be present, what matters are so urgent that they couldn't publicly proclaim their loyalty to you? There are some in the court that suggest that treason may be afoot, and if that were the case, your own safety could not be assured. How should we deal with your brothers, Sariel? So you have a few options.
Yeah.
You can
I
decide
have my own
to,
ideas, but tell me what I can do.
yes. Let's see what you can do. You can imprison your brothers and execute them.
Drastic.
Because you don't know. You can imprison one or both of them, we can see. You can make them come to an accident, perhaps. We'll see what happens. You know, the roads are dangerous. Maybe they got lost, or maybe a hunt went wrong. These things happen, Sariel. They could just be disposed of. Or you could buy their loyalty with gifts and titles. That would be nice, you know. They're going to appreciate that even if they were loyal anyway, and that could be positive. Of course, that would cost the Empire a significant amount. That would be, you know, slightly put a dent in the Empire's finances. Or you could just simply do nothing whatsoever. You trust your brothers enough that it'll be fine. But Sarah, how do you know what your brothers are going to do? How do you have this idea? Well, this is what your scheminess is for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would like you to roll a general scheminess to see what the reports are on either of your brothers. What is their deal? Do you have clear signs of their loyalty, or is it still a bit uncertain? So
Is my
roll me a
scheminess
scheminess.
just a +1 right now?
Your scheminess is a +2 actually. You got
Because
you
of
got
my
bonuses
first
from making friends outside of court. Yes.
Right. Okay, let's see. Let's leave it to chance. Oh. It's a 1, so a
Yes.
total of 3.
It's a 1. Well, Sarah,
dice
I'm
have
very
spoken.
sorry.
Uh,
Yes. You are relatively lucky. So first of all, you hear that your youngest brother, Shapur, you actually receive some pretty credible reports that he is entirely disinterested with the throne, could not care less. He is just administering his empire and honestly was just too lazy to come to Ctesiphon. That's all.
I guess.
As for your
I guess I believe
as for the
that.
middle child, Ardashir, yeah, you believe that enough. As for the middle child, Ardashir, nobody's quite sure what to make of it. Like, he's giving you a plausible excuse that, oh, in Sakistan, we need to take care of the border. Yeah, I'll come. Don't worry. I'm totally I'm totally loyal. Trust me. But you're not sure? Are you going to risk it or what you going to do? So,
Well,
to remind you, your options are imprisonment and execution, accident, buying loyalty with gifts, or just trust him, it'll be okay.
yeah,
And also, you can decide to just treat them separately, treat the two brothers separately, if you would like.
Okay, so I see the problem, but thanks to my dice roll, I don't see the problem. So I have to be true to this character who apparently has gotten no news.
Yes.
Of what their brothers are up to. So, what are you gonna do? Everyone's gonna be so frustrating listening to me completely botch this game. But this is how I play choose your own adventure games. I true to myself as if I knew nothing, and then I do better.
Yeah.
I think then Sariel the First will go with their first gut feeling they had, and how is our army?
Well, your army it's reasonably good, but they are ruling some important vassal kingdoms. Ardashir especially. Shapur is ruling a smaller kingdom. It's not as significant, but Ardashir is owning a kingdom that is roughly the size of Armenia. It's significant. You could take him probably, but
my idea
don't
was
know. Not positive.
Someone needs to rule Armenia now. Because I won't be there.
Mm.
So I was planning on just reshuffling their rulership.
Okay, so just promoting them each into a higher position.
Exactly, and forcing them to get off their asses and actually go somewhere else, since they didn't for the coronation. But I wouldn't do that if that's just gonna give them more military power. I don't know how much an army is tied to a particular kingdom.
Well, they owe loyalty to their lord, so, they could make a legitimate argument saying, hey, no, look at me, I'm much better than Sariel. I should be in charge. Yeah. They have the legitimacy to do that if they wanted to.
I know this, but I also rolled a 1
yes.
on knowing what's going on, and you told me, yeah, one of your brothers doesn't care, and the other one is
Yeah, I mean that's all your spies have been able to tell you. That's as far as you know. So, you could just do nothing. That's an option.
I would like for an accident to come to pass, but disguise it as the like official reason would be probably to call them in to. I'm not sure if to call them in to discuss like changing the rulership of one kingdom to another, or to just send them
Yeah.
gifts and like have something deadly be part of that.
I mean, the roads are dangerous, Ariel. Any form of
Yeah,
travel might
exactly. I
result in
think that
bandits
makes more
attacking them.
sense.
Who knows?
I will call them in to
Very
discuss
good.
a new, um, a different setup for the kingdoms of the empire, and I will order
Very good.
people to please take care of them.
Very well. Okay, then please roll me a scheminess and don't biff it to see
Yeah.
how secret this
Otherwise, we'll
remains and if they
just
realize.
deal with the consequences.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's not great. Uh, an 11 total.
With adding your score of 2
Yeah.
scheminess? Well.
Yeah.
Your brothers are sort of tipped off that something might be wrong. And despite later finding documents that they weren't absolutely intending to rebel, they were just entirely loyal, they were just busy, honestly, they decide to raise up their armies and march against Ctesiphon because, well, if their lives are in danger, the only way for them to be safe is to dethrone you and take over the empire.
That makes sense.
So, your brothers Ardashir and Shapur soon gather their armies from Sakistan and Jilan and begin the long march to the capital, starting to flip neighboring cities to their side. You have precious little time to organize a defense, but you need to choose who is trustworthy and capable enough to lead this defensive force. You could go yourself. You risk falling in battle, but a victory will be entirely yours. You have no brothers that can fight for you instead. But on the other hand, there is an important noble, the illustrious General Sharshir, the Lion of the Empire. He is experienced and loved by the army and the nobles, and he should probably be able to take care of your brother without too many issues. But maybe he's a bit too popular and wouldn't want to cause one problem by fixing another one, so yeah, is it going to be you, or are you going to send Sharshir to deal with it?
I hate this. This goes against everything I would have liked to do as a king, which is not care and just rule. But that scheminess roll really.
Sorry, Sariel. You tried to murder your brothers, so
yeah,
Yep.
because I didn't trust it. Actually, I should have just gone for like everything is fine. Here's gifts. Anyway,
hindsight's 2020. But yeah, so are you going to go yourself, Sariel, or send your prominent and popular general?
no, it is my mess. I'll go myself, and if I die, I die, and then one of my brothers will take over.
Yeah.
It won't be that bad. Like, as
Well,
long as it's not a full-on dynastic civil war, I think the empire will be okay.
fair enough. All right, so Sariel, roll me a battle hardness and ride off into battle and hopefully succeed.
Okay, it's like an 11.
With your battle hardness score?
Yeah, I rolled a 10.
Okay.
Like
Well,
just
Sariel.
exactly average.
Well, Sariel. You give an inspiring speech to your assembled army on the field of battle and advance against your brothers. The three of you meet in the middle of the field of battle with your respective bodyguards, and a fierce fight begins. The official version of the story that you put out after the fact has you slaying your traitor brothers personally, but nobody will really know how things happened or if it was your bodyguards that did the job for you. But now with the usurpers lying dead in the dust, their army melts away, and you are left as the unchallenged ruler of the empire.
Damn, that's
You
lucky.
gain 1 point of battle hardness, 1 point of Aaron Shine, and 1 point of empire prosperity. So, nobles are up for you, and you managed to win a good battle. Congratulations.
Wait, so I have.
Although you do
of...
get 2 points of shock factor for having murdered your brothers.
Yeah, so I have a point of battle hardness and a point of Aaron Shine.
Yeah, an extra. So
Yeah.
you have 2 battle hardness, 2 scheminess, and 4 Aaron Shine right now.
Yes, that tracks. Hmm.
Nice.
Not bad. I will need therapy for this. I hate it here.
Absolutely, yes. Anybody
But,
living this time probably needs a lot of therapy.
you know, the good of the Empire. They could have also just,
Yeah.
I don't know, come to my
They could
coronation.
have accepted that you were going to murder them. Yeah.
No, they could have just shown up, you know?
That's entirely fair. This is what happens when
However,
you don't show up to a
do I
certain
know
part.
now that, like, they weren't planning to rebel?
Yeah, you find documents that they weren't planning to rebel.
Okay, who
Only
told
you
me
only
they
you know of
would?
them.
Who's that consular?
There was a counselor that was found around, was still in court. It was just, hey, the counselor was just asking questions. Sarah, it was just being an inquiring mind, independently wondering what happened.
To prison.
Very well.
You're not
The
doing your
scheming
job
counselor is
well.
dragged off to prison.
You're doing your job well if you
Yes.
warn me of actual plausible things, not if you warn me about made up things that I should keep in mind and go to war for nothing. Do your job better.
That's fair. He's going to try and do his job better in prison now.
Yep.
So, okay, brilliant, Sariel. You've consolidated power and managed to survive the dangerous transition period.
Yay.
The question now comes, what do you want to do with all this power? Because you could do a few things. You could choose to just keep the ship of state steady and not rock the boat, keep things as they're going, make sure they don't go worse. Or you could try some more audacious reforms for the administration of the empire, try and apply what you learned in Armenia, try and make a better empire overall. But of course, there are plenty of powerful people in your realm. They're rich and powerful and are just fine with how the empire is run, and they might not take kindly to your attempts at reform. So you have 3 options, Ariel. You can attempt to not rock the boat, just slow and steady wins the race. You could try and reform and crush anybody who stands in your way. Or you could try the more difficult task of trying to reform, but, massaging everybody's egos and making sure that they're fine, it's going to be okay, don't worry, trust me, I'm not trying to remove your power, although secretly I am, it'll be okay.
Yeah, well, I got good at public speaking for a reason, so I would try to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Though,
Do the last, so it's a more it's going to be a more difficult challenge, but better outcomes, of course.
let's try it. We'll see.
Okay, very well. So roll me an Aaron Shine, please, and let's see how that goes for you.
Jesus. Okay. Didn't roll very well. It's a total of 12.
12. Ooh. Well, unfortunately, Sariel, it looks like the nobles don't take kindly to your radical new ideas. They think, why is Sariel doing all this? They don't know. They've not been in charge for this long. We've been in charge for a lot longer. We know so much better than Sariel, so of course it's better if we maintain our privileges. So overall, you try to be nice to them. So the nobles are, all right, but they'll still remember this. You lose a point of noble opinion, and you lose 2 points of empire prosperity, since you have a lot of half-made reforms that the nobles are obstructing, and it's not great. The nobles are starting to take a dislike to you, at least.
I didn't need much of an excuse.
It's not a terrible dislike, but still.
To get rid of them. So, however, I'd like for my net of whispers to be a bit better than it was before. Since
well, you have an opportunity just now, Sariel.
Yeah, it led to such a debacle with my brothers. I'm not happy about that.
So you have an opportunity to improve on that. During a royal hunt, Sariel, of course, one of your part of duties as monarch of monarchs is to cast an image of strength for all the nobles to witness. And the most popular pastime for this goal is a royal hunt. Now, this isn't just a free romp in the wilds, but a much more organized event with very little left to chance outside of your own performance. This is a stage play, if anything. It's like gladiatorial games where you are in charge, you know what's going on. Now, the chosen prey will be let loose in a special section of one of your paradise gardens before you and the nobles are let loose behind them. But how do you want to organize this event? What do you want to do? So you could try for a simple hunt. Just release some onagers to chase after. It's a cheap enough option, but won't really impress many people. But it could give you practice in your fighting skills. You could have a more ostentatious hunt. You could search the Empire for more ambitious prey, such as lions, tigers, and bears. This will be quite expensive and, cut into the coffers of the Empire a little bit, but these trophies are definitely going to impress the nobles. On the other hand, they are a bit more dangerous, so you risk hurting yourself, and, well, that could be unfortunate. And the last option works with your net of whispers, Sariel, because you could allow everyone else to focus on simple animals while you focus on the most dangerous game, which is those at your court which oppose you most strongly, those who have been whispering against you, those who have been saying, actually, I don't think Sariel knows what they're doing, the ones who oppose your reforms most strongly. So perhaps there might be a hunting accident, an arrow you loose might go wide, and such a tragedy.
See,
what would you like to go for?
My idea was to hopefully... Who's the next generation of nobles? Because I assume that, just killing one of
the next generation of nobles has basically grown up with you. This is your cohort, essentially.
Yeah.
You are hunting with these people, yes.
Well, let's try and do that. I hate the nobles so much. But that's easy for me to say. This is what I mean. It's I want them all dead, but I don't know what impact that has since they do have some sort of administrative power, I assume. Or are they just there?
Fair enough. But you can also just appoint people.
Yeah.
I mean, they have inherited power, and it's easier for them. But you can just appoint other people. You've made friends outside the court.
True.
You could appoint them.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it. This is doomed anyway.
Okay.
I do not trust these decisions at all.
Please give me a scheminess roll and see how well this goes without getting noticed.
This has gone much further than I expected it to go. I wanted to be okay, with my knowledge of the podcast, I should do this and this. But also, what if I just don't? Anyway.
Give it a go, yeah.
Oh, well, would you look at that? That's a natural 20 on my die. So a 22.
Oh, very good.
Finally.
So congratulations, Sariel. In this hunt, the hunt isn't anything too spectacular, just hunting some monsters. You didn't want to spend too much. But wouldn't it happen? What is the worst thing that could happen? One of your nobles, Rostam, who had been speaking against you most vehemently, gets lost in the forest and wouldn't you know it? It's just caught in a hail of arrows by a bunch of nobles who confuse him for one of the onagers that you're hunting, and such a tragedy. These things happen, Sariel, but you shouldn't feel too bad about it.
Shouldn't
okay.
have got
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you gain one more point of scheminess, and, well, the nobles admire your ability to quickly come to his aid as soon as possible, so you gain 1 point of noble opinion. Because, well, Rostam isn't whispering in their ears, and who knows? Although later historians will mention that this is suspicious, so you gain 1 more point of shock factor.
Good. Later historians, us on the podcast,
Yes, exactly. Doubt. Okay, but brilliant. You've had a lovely hunt. You're nice, feeling good and refreshed. And yeah, while holding court in your palace, you're suddenly interrupted by terrible news, Sariel. A vast nomadic horde has broken through your defenses on the Oxus River and is now threatening the cities of Khorasan. A swift and decisive response is needed to ensure the security of the empire. So what are you going to do? You have a few options. You can go with the head of your army, risk falling battle, but victory will be entirely yours. This will be more difficult than your brothers. This is a stronger force, but you can give it a go. You could send the illustrious General Sharshir, the Lion of the Empire. Again, loved by the army. He is very experienced. He's very good at his job. But, again, do you really trust him? The last option is negotiating with the nomads. This is an unpopular option because it will require concessions without battle, but it could save you from the worst of their attacks without having to shed blood. And that could be a better option overall. So what are you choosing?
I want to obviously give a chance to the beloved Lion of the Empire to prove his might. If there was space for new ones, I would say I would not necessarily just delegate all of the trouble to him. I would probably like to be at his side and actually work on a relationship with him. But you know,
Oh, definitely. But he's going to be the face of it.
Sure.
He's going to get the glory from it.
I do not like. I did.
Like you're going to be like, and you were also there. But yeah.
I fought my brothers because that was my own mess to fight. But I do not think I am skilled enough to protect the entire empire, and I think that comes first for me. So.
Okay. Very good.
Despite the consequences that might have.
So please roll me battle hardness, and I will add the score that Sharshir has.
Okay, so my roll is an 11.
An 11. Sharshir has a +5 in battle hardness. Okay. And with his great prowess, well, you receive news from Sharshir that the nomadic invasion has been stopped after a glorious victory against one of their khans. An ornate bow belonging to the former chieftain is presented to you by before the assembled court and will take pride of place among the trophies of your reign. The invasion has been stopped, and if anything, Sharshir has been able to take more lands. So you gain 1 more point of Errand Shine for your delegation skills, and 1 point of Empire Prosperity because, hey, things are better now. You've eliminated the nomadic threat, and have more resources to deal with this. But you do get 1 point of shock factor because some atrocities were committed. You know, it's war. Things happen. And as you're basking in the glow of your recent victory, Sariel, unwelcome rumors reach your ear. Some are saying that Sharshir is planning on using his authority and newfound popularity to take the throne for himself or install a more pliable candidate for him. The options before you are simple. Do you trust Sharshir to continue serving you loyally, or has he outlived his usefulness? Just like your brothers, you have the options of imprisoning and executing him, making him come to an accident, buy his loyalty with gifts and titles, or just do nothing.
What is bothering him? Like, why would he want to rule himself or appoint someone more pliable? What does he not have that he would like?
Well, he was related to the noble that died mysteriously during the hunt.
But I had nothing to do with that.
He might be feeling insecure. He might be feeling insecure. Some people might be whispering about stuff. You don't know.
Excuse me, I rolled a natural 20. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows nobody can prove anything.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you would like to roll me a scheminess, you can figure out what your spies tell you about his thoughts.
Yeah, let's see. If my spies are still then this will influence my decision, but also will make me, real Sariel, feel less bad about making the wrong decision, because I'm like, well, how would I know?
Okay.
We don't use meta knowledge in this game. Okay. It's not great, it's a 10. I thought it was a 1 for a moment, and I was gonna just anyway.
Well, based on your knowledge, it seems like your spies report that Sharshir is quite content with his role. He's happy to be subservient and doesn't seem like he's likely to rebel.
Let's be benevolent for once. Also, because I prefer that. Like, I would like to thank him for the great favor that he's done to the Empire, and
Mm-hmm.
I would like to give him some gifts for it and keep him close. You know how they say, keep your friends close and enemies closer? Like, I don't want to just
Yes.
give him a random kingdom and send him there and just give him a chance to build yet a bigger army, but I'd like to have him
Yeah.
at court if possible, if there's no other pressing military issues
Not at
in
the
the
moment.
frontiers.
Fine. So do you want to try and buy his loyalty with gifts and titles?
Yeah, we can summarize it that.
Okay. Very. Please roll me an Aaron Shine and see how well he takes it.
Why am I rolling so bad? Jesus. I rolled a 4 plus my 5. That's a 9, but it's not
Okay.
great.
You lose 1 point of prosperity for the Empire because you're giving several gifts to Sharshir. Some of the nobles feel a little bit jealous about this, and they're not really sure how to deal with this, but overall, the months pass and no rebellion. He seems to be loyal and happy with his position, as your spies told you.
I need better
Congratulations.
spies, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so good job, Sariel. You've managed to rule for several years, and you're still solid enough on the throne that you begin to think about your legacy. The Empire has several fundamental flaws at its core, but they could be fixed by a vigorous enough ruler, and that might well be you. However, different methods have different risks and are likely to upset different parties involved. So, you have a few options. You can burn it all down and rebuild it in your image. The mark of a great king is refounding the empire in your own image. You will stop at nothing to see your vision fulfilled. This will make you many enemies, but the potential reward is enormous. You could try some radical reform. You're not ready, nor would it be prudent for you to throw the empire into such disarray, but you have big plans. A more meritocratic system, more flexible administration, a more organized army. All these things can be achieved if you can only get the nobles to agree. Next up is some slow and steady reform. Revolution is for those who have nothing to lose, and you have been handed centuries of hard work to preserve. You will nudge the empire in the correct direction with years of effort, keeping things steady, but improving them slowly but surely. The last option is the empire's just fine. Things are more precarious than they would seem to an outside observer. Sometimes the best decision is to hold things as they are for a future generation to seize the opportunity. This isn't your job.
I do not like that. The thing is, I don't have a greater need for triumph and power than what I have currently. I'm already King of Kings, and I'm happy to just keep the Empire safe and happy. I know that for a better story, it might be interesting to burn it all down and remake it in my image, but I think that is such a gamble that when it doesn't pay well could just impact not just your own life, but obviously the legacy of the entire empire, that I think that is not worth it.
Yes.
Especially because we're not in a, yeah, like you said, we have so much to lose, and the gain would mainly be for myself, because the changes to the empire I can do anyway in a less destructive way. So I will do the second
You
option.
could do less changes, to be fair.
Yeah, I will focus on fixing the things that are not working.
So are you going on more radical reform or just a slow and steady thing? You know, each year you try and change one thing and try and improve it a little bit.
A slow reform.
Get through. Slow and steady reform.
So
Very
still
well.
tackling the issues that need tackling, but I don't need to do it all at once. Because I know that the nobles are like not super happy with me anyway.
Yeah, very well. So please roll me an Aaron Shine and see how well you do with your slow and steady reform.
It's another one. So
Another one.
6 total. Yeah. I guess.
Okay. So, sorry, Sariel. You lose 1 point of empire prosperity because you try and reform slowly, but you reform so slowly that the nobles just have time to mess everything up. They're just They just see you as more passive than you're trying to be, and they say, "Oh well, we can
They
just
keep
walk all over
testing
them.
me.
That'll be fine." And so the
That's it.
Empire is slightly worse off now. It's not massively
Now it's
terrible, but
personal. And by
it
personal, I mean
just
now you mess
decays
with the
slightly.
Empire.
Yeah. But now, Sariel, there comes an interesting issue. Because you thought of this years ago. You knew it was coming. You knew you had to deal with this. And you've managed to procure for yourself three young and capable children who are vying for your attention and your favor.
Mm.
Your son Hormizd has always been one for administration and governance. He has not yet obtained serious command, but you believe that he would do wonders for a vassal kingdom of yours. Bahram, your middle son, has always been one for hunts and battles. He could be a valuable general for your cause if you so chose. Last is your youngest son, Narse, who was always the shadiest of the bunch. There's no rumor that he does not know, and no gossip he is not privy to. Any plans going on in the Empire would have to pass by his ear. How would you like to deal with your potential heirs? You can do this. You can give them all equal treatment, making sure that they all develop well, and, they continue in their education. Nobody knows who the real heir is, but they'll keep competing. That'll be healthy. You can focus on one main son, choose one of them to succeed you. No, don't make it official, but, take him under your wing, make him your apprentice, show him all you got. And this will make one of the sons, more skilled, but it might displease the others. Next is proclaiming your heir. Choose one son that is going to be your heir, say he's your heir. The nobles will be more happy because that's securing the succession, but your other sons are definitely not going to be too pleased with this news. And finally, you could just discard them in favor of someone else. Sharshir, perhaps, or another noble, or someone entirely different could be your heir. Who knows? Your sons would hate you for this, but the nobles would definitely look kindly upon it.
Bold of you to assume I care what the nobles think. I'm just looking for an opportunity to kill all of them. It's fine. I guess it all depends on what I think the Empire will need when I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, in your experience, what do you think would make a good ruler?
It
You want
depends
an
on the.
administrator, a warrior, or
It
somebody who
depends on
can
the
keep
time
up with
period.
the nobles? I mean, yeah, but this is your reign based on what you've seen.
Yeah.
Also, you might want to see which son do you not want to anger. That is also a consideration.
Yeah. It's such a shame that triumvirates never work well.
Yeah, exactly.
If everyone could just be allowed to be good at their job, then that'd be great for everybody involved.
I mean, they might. Again, you could treat them all equally and, hope that eventually something will work out.
That was my preference, but I just do not think
for the time being. But
I do not think that gives me much control over the situation, and is going to lead to a war eventually. That's what I would like.
You don't want things to end up like they did for you.
Yeah. Well, since I've been just not making necessarily good decisions, but just kind of like utopic decisions this whole time, I'll say I'll bring all of them three up equally, and it will be their problem to decide.
Very well. So you bring up all your sons equally, and it turns out that they all develop with their strengths and their weaknesses. Of course, they all have different ones, but they seem to grow up well enough, and you can deal with the succession when it comes to it, right? Like, it'll be okay. Surely you will live long enough to see everything fine.
The thing is, I feel like any of them could do a good job at ruling the empire afterwards. So I guess
Yeah, you know, any of them could do a good job. Just need
whatever
to choose
happens.
among them because there is a single crown.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so Sariel, years pass and the effects of your reform start to be felt. The slow decay of the empire is not ideal, but is becoming felt at this point. But however, based on your decisions, many new men can be seen at court, and many of them seem to be climbing quite quickly. In particular, a man called Yazdegerd has become a powerful minister in your court, and you begin to notice that many problems are not really directed at you anymore, but they're directed to Yazdegerd. He deals with them before you even notice they were an issue. Some of the courts see this as a clear sign of his loyalty and competence, but his enemies whisper that he's simply laying the groundwork to replace you as ruler and take control in your stead. I mean, if he's king in all but name, what's stopping him from deposing you? He might even choose to end your life and replace you with a more pliable puppet. How should you address these rumors, Sariel? Again, like in previous cases, you can imprison him and kill him, make him come to an accident, buy his loyalty with gifts and titles, or just do nothing. But the problem is that if you get rid of him, the administration will suffer because he has become so pivotal.
I think
to
this
how
is
things
such
run.
bullshit that, like, if he's doing a good job, why should I get rid of him? He's doing a good job. That's the whole point.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's not
his
like, oh,
his
he's
enemies
like
are saying that.
taking away my power and then just doing all with it. Like, he's just good at what he does. I have no problem with that, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be the first monarch to retire willingly and be like, bye, I'm off.
Also, please feel free to roll a scheminess if you want to know if you get a vibe off of him.
Yeah, sure.
Because
God,
you don't
this
want a
could-
dagger in your back at some point.
This could ruin me. 12. No? Yes,
12, okay. Based on your spies and the rumors you get to hear in the court, it seems like he is entirely loyal to you. He seems to just be a loyal servant doing his job.
Great.
So, do nothing?
I want repercussions to those who said I should get rid of him. I'm just like, those who are stirring
Fair
drama, you are going to get mysteriously killed.
Very good.
Or go to prison.
Roll me a scheminess just to see how that goes.
10. No? 11.
11. You gain 1 point of shock factor as some of the more gossipy members of the court seem to disappear.
Yes.
They're just like, just terrible food poisoning. What could have happened? Clearly, you need to hire a new cook. But oh well. It happens.
Just digging my own grave here. Leave me alone.
Okay. Yes. But Sariel, you're now settling into a peaceful older age. You've ruled for decades at this
Success.
point. You've done quite a good job so far. But then you receive terrible news. The new king of Armenia you appointed when you first took the throne has died. Under normal circumstances, this would be an opportunity to appoint your chosen heir to this position. But suddenly, an arrogant envoy from the Roman Empire stands before your court and proclaims that his master claims control over the kingdom of Armenia and the right to appoint its new king. The legal reasoning is
Says
murky as
who?
it always is, but the provocation requires an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps that's just what the Romans were looking for, an excuse to restart your eternal war. So you can do a few things, Sariel. You can threaten the Romans with war, because violence is the only thing the Romans understand. If they think they can bully you into giving up your kingdom, they will be sorely disappointed. Your armies have bested traitors and nomads, and they will not falter now. Alternatively, you could offer a division of Armenia. A full-on war with Romans would be undesirable. It would be best to bargain with them and give them a portion of Armenia under their own king. This would allow both sides to save face, though some would consider these concessions to be unworthy of you. And your last option is just give the Romans what they want. This decision will avoid war, but be very unpopular at home, as the Empire cannot afford to get into the habit of surrendering territories at the first challenge.
See, this is why I wish that my sons would work together. because it would be beautiful
Yes.
for everybody. I think I am very unsatisfied with the empire slowly declining because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted just
Mm-hmm.
to properly improve things, despite everyone getting in my way.
Yes.
So, if we can afford it, let's go to war.
Okay. Threaten war with the Romans.
Yes.
Roll me an errand shine to see if they back down or if we're doing this.
I hate doing this with dice, but I guess life is complex.
You don't know, yeah.
No. 9.
Very well.
I need to
The
roll
Roman
with a
envoy
different die.
accepts your response and says, very well, if it's war you want, it's war you will have.
Good.
So the time has come for Iran and Rome to dance once more in the blood of their subjects, and you must choose how to conduct this war. The choice of general will be important as it always is, but first you must decide the scope of the war. How much are you willing to spend the empire's resources to defeat your ancestral enemy? You could choose just a border war and no more. Protracted wars are risky and you would want to limit potential damage as much as possible. Your armies will limit themselves to trading border forts such as Nisibis and Dara, while Ctesiphon and Antioch can sleep soundly. Alternatively, you could try a march to the sea. The Romans need to be taught humility. You will gather an army powerful enough to capture Antioch and bring you to the Mediterranean shores. Of course, the consequent risk to Ctesiphon will be much higher. Or last, you can have one empire under the sun. Rome has existed for far too long as your enemy. It's time to return to the Achaemenid days when one Iranian empire was at the center of the world. You will not rest until Constantinople falls before your armies and all resistance is swept away. Of course, failure in this attempt may deal a fatal blow to your own empire. So, how big a war do you want to wage?
I don't think we should go all in because if we fail, then all of my efforts this far will be for nothing. But I think the second option
We've
is
seen what
good
happens
enough.
if you fail in the podcast. Yes.
Because I've been doing so fine, like, so far, and, you know, I do care about the Empire, and I'd rather not be remembered at all. Instead of being remembered as the monarch that ruined a perfectly fine empire. Which is kind of what I'm doing,
Well.
but, you know, we're gonna just pretend. I'm
It's
honestly
only
just
slightly
surprised.
worse off.
I'm honestly just surprised that I'm not dead yet. I would have, you know, maybe I should have been more decisive. But hey, you're getting an insight into how my brain actually works, which is not at all.
There we go. So, okay, Sariel, as usual, you have the decision of who to send. You could go yourself, as usual, as with your brothers. You could send Sharshir, the Lion of the Empire. He has improved. He has learned things from his battles in the steppe. Again, his loyalty might be in question, but you don't know. He seems straightforward enough. Or you have a novelty. You could send your son Bahram. He's your most skilled son in military matters, and it would be natural for him to take the lead. However, if he is not chosen as your heir in the end, that might, you know, give him an opportunity to overthrow whichever other brother you choose.
Well, I think the decision has been made for me. Regarding my heir. I think it would be wise.
You could also
If
send
they-
another son if you would like.
No, I
But
think
since
it
you
would.
haven't chosen one, I didn't give you
I
the
think it
option.
would be wise if they don't fight each other, but that's not my decision to make. Ideally, I would
Mhm.
appoint the um administrative son to Armenia once we get it back. Give him a chance to build from there, and I would keep the schemy son in court aiding his brothers. And I would take the military son with us into this war. But I hate that you give me these options. This is why I hate choose your own adventure games, because I'm like, I don't want to do any of these. Like, I want to take my son as his first important military campaign, shadowing the general, the lion of the empire,
Yeah.
who is, great at his job, because that's the whole point.
I mean, he can do that, but again, this is mostly a matter of who is taking charge, who is going to be the one that is publicly shown as being the one leading this war, and either winning or losing it, depending on how it goes.
How would this general feel about the possible future heir taking the lead? Like, what is their relationship? Do they respect each other? Do they hate each
I
other?
mean, based on what you knew from before, seems to respect your sons. I mean, to be fair, your sons haven't had much exposure to the world so far, so they're known, but this is like their first steps.
Yeah,
You know, they're in their early 20s at this point, but you know,
I don't think I would give such an important, like, if we're not doing a simple border war, but if we're going a bit further into the Mediterranean, I don't think I would give all of that responsibility to my son who hasn't had real like battle experience.
you would judge, I'm not going to tell you numbers, but you would judge that he is probably more skilled than you are
Yeah,
based on how you've seen him growing up.
I
But
knew that. I knew that much.
he is less skilled than Sharshir.
We shall go with Sharshir, and this will be a good learning opportunity for him.
Very good. Roll me a battle hardness and add 6 points to Sharshir because he has improved since you
I
left.
am determined on believing in the good heart of people, and
Even if they're nobles.
this is why I will never get into politics. Um, Also, I'm going into this battle being like, this is probably the last thing I will do, and I will die here, and that's fine. Like, I'm not sending someone else and retreating and hoping that it gets fixed. Like, I am going in and being like, well, if anything should happen to me, I
Oh
have
wait, so
three
you're going
heirs.
yourself? You're
Yeah,
going
but I
personally
am.
into it?
Yeah, I feel like it's important enough.
Oh,
And
so
I
no Sharshir, it's just you.
No, it
Okay,
is. It. I am sending Sharshir. I just also want to.
Oh, Sharshir, but you're following along.
Yes,
I see.
exactly. I don't want to just sit on my throne and be like,
Very good.
just solve it.
Sounds good. Okay, well, off you go then.
Okay. For middle of the road, it's a 10.
10 with the +6?
No, 10 on the die. So 16 total.
Okay. So 16 overall. Well, Sariel, let me find the note for this. The flames of the city of Antioch emit a dull red glow behind you as your jet black horse gallops to the Mediterranean shore in victory. You bathe in the Roman Sea and enjoy your hard-won success, thanking Ahura Mazda for his manifest favor. You won't be able to keep all these lands, of course, but the deported skilled population and strategic border regions you have gained will bolster Mesopotamia for decades to come. So you gain 1 point of Aaron Shine for your delegation, and you gain 2 points of Empire prosperity as it is greatly improved overall based on
We got back the 2 points we lost.
However, due to the whole, city burning thing, and deportations, you gain 2 points of shock factor.
I'm gonna do so well on our podcast.
Exactly. You're doing great.
All over the place.
Yeah. So yeah, and then yes. Again, as usual, Sariel, there are still questions about Sharshir's loyalty. He has now won 2 great wars for you. Some people might say that, well, why isn't he in charge?
Because he's
So,
good at
more,
military
you have-
things. Oh my god.
Once more, you have the opportunity to see, has Sharshir gotten ambitious, or is he not that much? So, I would like you to roll me a scheminess to figure out how much he's feeling.
It's 1. So a total of
1.
yeah. My dice are really
You
like,
have
you see nothing.
Yes. Sariel, you have absolutely no idea what Sharshir's vibe is.
Yeah.
But you can tell that you're not comfortable with him.
See, like, is this even my fault? I did what
Yeah.
I could.
While after the nomadic war, you were like, no, I can trust Sharshir. Here's my bro. Now it's like, but he has won 2 wars for me, and I mean, he is in the capital with an army that loves him. Would you like to get rid of him officially or unofficially? Or maybe try and give him more titles, more lands? Maybe this time that will just keep him stable. Or do you just say, you know what? No, my spies are useless. I'll trust him, at least now.
Well, the thing is, and I know this is, a narrative, but like, if he wanted to take the throne, he could have just killed me while we went on this campaign. I'm sure there would
True,
have
but
been
you
many.
were in public. You were being seen by the army.
I don't think it's fair. I remember a different king who did this, who just got spooked of their general and like tried to get rid of him after he gave him like his great service to the empire, and I'm like, why would you do that? Like, I understand
Yep,
why,
this is
but
Bahram Chobin,
it's
and
so
was overthrown.
that's so terrible. Because that's not fair.
Yeah.
Again, I am
No,
not
it's not.
particularly attached to my own success for success sake, like, or for power's sake.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I am a big fan of meritocracy, and like, if you're good at your job, if you're a better option than myself, then I will get myself out of the way. The thing is, I don't think he would be a good ruler. I think he's a good general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he had
Would be
shown,
good at taking the throne from your cold dead hands.
yeah. No, it's fine. If I go this way, then like, whatever.
So, what options?
It won't be
In
my
prison,
fault if the empire goes
accident.
to. I love things like, if everyone listened to me, everything would be fine. So incredible being a monarch to where you think you can just order everyone around and then everyone just does whatever the they want.
Yep.
Power is meaningless. Anyway, but I refuse to rule and have everyone like afraid of me. Just want people
Okay,
to
so are
be
you just
like,
trying to buy him off, or are you just trying to say, no,
Yeah,
I trust him? It's fine?
I mean, like, there will be some sort of recognition. I don't necessarily want to buy him off. I just want to give
You're
him what
basically
is.
going to give him a big title, a palace,
Yeah,
some lands,
exactly.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel that's fair.
Okay, well then, please roll me an errand shine, and let's see how that goes.
Man, I need to roll a different die. It's a total of 10.
God.
I rolled a 4.
10 in total. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I've been rolling so low, except like that one natural 20. The rest of the rolls have been like 10 or less.
Yeah. Sariel, you lose 1 point of empire prosperity in giving gifts to Sharshir, but then you see that his army is camped awfully close to Tessaphon.
Fun.
And when it starts marching without your orders, you realize that something is very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And it is time now to fight Civil War number 2 of your reign, Sariel. Fun times. And with a general that has very well practiced and done a lot of things. So, how do you want to face this? Do you want to be the one facing him in person? Or do you want your son Bahram to take this and go off?
I would enlist my son to fight with me.
Yeah, but do you want him to like decide the
Yeah.
battle tactics?
He should.
Be the main director?
He's better.
or-
He's better than I.
Very well. Excellent. Okay, great.
It's not gonna
So, Sariel, please roll me a battle hardness roll against Sharshir. And
It's
add a
also
4
really
for
bad.
Bahram's score.
11.
11. With the +4?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm rolling
Well,
really
Sariel,
badly. It's not my fault if the
you
dice
receive
just do
news.
bad.
Fate. You receive news from the field of battle and your face goes white. Sharshir has crushed your forces and is marching unopposed on Ctesiphon. The news is shortly followed by the corpse of your son, who is white and bled through. You may try to flee and find support elsewhere, but those who support the usurper are all around you, and you're arrested before you can get too far.
Yep.
You are executed as you hear the cheering crowds proclaiming Sharshir King of Kings in your place. I am sorry, Sariel.
That's fine. Hope
This
you
is
will
how
do
your
well.
reign ends.
I don't think I
Yes.
did a very good
How does
job.
he do? His score is not very good, but you lived a few years, so Sariel, let's see how you did. Let's look at your score.
I feel like I should be much more decisive and just be like care less and make a good story. I take it too seriously.
But still, there you go. You were usurped and killed at the age of 60, so good few years of reign. So overall,
Yeah, about 40 years. Not bad.
you have, yes, what is your death? Execution, Sariel, what would you rate your death? Execution's pretty good. I'd give it a 6.
Sure.
There we go. 6 for a death.
At least we have
So
the
your battle
details.
hardness, your battle hardness was your weakest score. You went into battle against your brothers and managed to kill them personally, according to the legends, but otherwise you mostly delegated the management of military affairs to Sharshir, your successor at this point, and at the very end to your son Bahram, who unfortunately was not able to save you. That gives you a grand total of 4 points for battle hardness. Next category is shock factor. You are known in the history books. This is the main thing Sariel the First is known for.
I did not care.
For murders and executions of nobles. Honestly, the amount of suspicious disappearances around you has made historians judge you as Sariel the Accursed, mostly
Yes.
because of the whole overthrow and the murders.
Good.
So
I'm
you
glad.
gain a full 14 points of shock factor.
Should have gone all in.
Next category is scheminess, where you're relatively known for your schemes, but unfortunately your spies were never quite as reliable as you would have hoped.
Yeah.
So overall, you get 7 points of scheminess to play for. Next up is Aaron Shine, Sariel. The Empire, just before you were overthrown, was almost as good, was basically as good as how you got it. You tried to give away a lot of lands to Sharshir to buy his loyalty, but clearly that wasn't enough. He was too ambitious. So overall, you get an Aaron Shine score. Of 8 overall, because the Empire is roughly where you left it, but you did ultimately get usurped and chaos ensued. So, fair enough.
I thought we did 5 if nothing
Face of
changed.
Faces. Yeah, exactly, but it's 5, but it's like 2 points.
I see.
Nothing changed, but you did get usurped. So yeah, there we go. Next up, Face of Faces, Sariel. As all our audience knows, you are gorgeous, so you get a 5 out of that.
Thanks.
So, good job. And our next category is lengthiness, which is how long did you rule? Well, you started ruling at the age of 25 and were eventually executed at the age of 60. So that is 35 points, which gives you a 35 years, which is 3.5 out of 5 for lengthiness.
It's better than I've done so
Bringing
far.
us to the
so
final score, Sariel. Yeah, exactly. Bringing us to the final score, Sariel, of a 48 out of 100, which places you, among our categories, roughly equal to Volagases IV and slightly better than Xerxes I. Mostly because of all the murder you
Yep.
did. So, hey, very good. There you go, Sariel.
I kept myself back. Because,
Hey, well,
it feels too
You'll
risky
be able
when I
to
feel like I'm
rule once more.
caring for an entire empire.
Well, hey, the Empire was only slightly worse off at the end.
Yeah, so I
Now
didn't
you
even do
know
a
that
good
it's
job at
difficult
that.
to rule an empire. Yeah. We've been judging all these people very harshly, but you've learned it's difficult. These things are complicated, and people are constantly trying to betray you. Because if not, you will murder them, so
I am too trusting.
honestly, fair enough. There we go. So there we go, everybody. We hope you enjoyed Sariel's reign. Sariel the First managed to rule for quite a while. They did a fine job, but ultimately, well,
Disagree.
the Civil Wars, the Civil Wars, oh, the Civil Wars.
People should just get on my wagon and like let me do my job.
Yeah, exactly. If only the nobles weren't in the way. I think that's what everybody thought for most of their reigns. It was just, but please, please stop stabbing me in the back.
Exactly.
So brilliant. We hope you all enjoyed this episode. The draws at the start. We hope you're looking forward to our discussion next week on our first group, which I'll remind you, just because we're here, is Darius the Great, Seleucus I, Antiochus IV, Alexander the Great, and Sinathrukes the First. So we'll see how they do. And then we'll be going on in the next weeks. I'll be putting polls online on our social media. Follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, the bad place, occasionally.
The bad
We'll see.
For now.
And yeah, I'll be putting polls about how we're doing, which kings should pass, and we can see if your decisions match ours. I won't reveal it to Sariel until the very end, until we've made our choice, so they won't be influenced by your votes. But yeah, then just to end, if you'd like to support us, there are many ways to do that. You can join us on Patreon, such as our new patron Robert Dorigo Jones. Thank you for joining us. We have a bunch of extra episodes. You can access the Discord where we'll be chatting about all this. It'll be fun. I might just give the Choose Your Own Adventure a polish and then hand it over for your use. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, otherwise, if you'd like to support us, not monetarily, that's fine. We'd appreciate if you could give us a review on your podcast app of choice so that we know that you enjoy us and that you've been having a good time. So yeah, in that case, without any further ado, we hope you have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.